strategy evaluation control. It is basically three group criteria for sustainability, then is criteria for feasibilities and criteria for acceptabilities. The next part is that, just a minute. This particular part we have already covered, that is operation strategy, and today we will cover the operation control part. In case of operation strategy control point of view, the operation strategy control focus on monitoring and evaluating the strategy management process to ensure that it functions in the right direction. In the previous class, I saw a small case study related to Flipkart placement activities. How the Flipkart is, you can say it is, they are engaged a different level of workforce or manpower in various activities to focus in case of monitoring and evaluating their strategies, especially reference to 30 days, you can say it is return policies, then EMI option in case of cash on delivery option, 1 day delivery strategies. That is the strategy management process to ensure that it's function in the right directions. If you go to second point, the operation strategy control aims at achieving result plan at time of strategy formulation. So whenever you go for operation strategy control, it's basically provide the right direction and to get the appropriate result for the plan at the time of strategy formulation. The next part is that operation strategy control is a special type of organization controls. So what if you implement in case of organization point of view, that means in every part of organization it should be implemented. Whenever you formulated this particular strategy, starting from one department to other department. Moving to the next part. Next slide, just a minute. Okay, the next part is the basic purpose of strategy control is help the top management to achieve strategy goal as planned. So basically, in case of your operation strategy control, the top management is provide the decision, and according to that decisions, the middle level of management, your bottom level of management, they directly go for the activities which is lead towards achieve strategy goal in case of plan. The next is this operational strategy control provide feedback about various type of strategy management to know whether the strategy management process are appropriate, compatible, and function in the desired directions. So that is why if you go for Flipkart point of view or any organization point of view, Flipkart has designated a particular post that is known as manager for F&I. So that manager for facility and infrastructure, he has the key responsibilities that he can directly collect various type of feedback, whether should be customer, whether should be vendor, whether should be suppliers, and he also you can say that is monitor and evaluating the different state of steps of your strategy management, whether the strategy management process is appropriate or compatible or it is functioning in the desired direction. That is the basic concept in case of your operational strategy control. Moving to the next part. Just a minute. The next part is that the approach of your operational strategy control. First point is, are our internal strength is still holding good? That means it directly focus your capabilities, which include man, machine, material. Then have we added other internal strength? If you add any kind of other strength, that means in case of recently used technology, in case of machines and tools, and employment of high skills. These are increased or one type of value addition in case of increase the internal strength of organizations. The next is, are our internal weakness still holding the goods? That means you have to identify your internal weaknesses. Basically, the internal weaknesses can be identified a particular method that is known as root cause analysis method. By the help of root cause analysis method, you can identify the problem, and according to that problem, you can provide the adequate maintenance or services, or you can fix that particular problem. The next is, do you have other weaknesses? If you find any kind of internal as well as external weakness, that should be fixed as early as possible to avoid those things. The next is, are our opportunities still opportunities or are there new opportunities? So every organization is always searching for new opportunities. As I told in the most recent classes, in that case, that whenever Maggie or the brand, especially reference to Nestle, is face more amount of legal cases, especially reference to customers, there may be more number of opportunity from ITC side as well as from Patanjali side. They will explore the market and then they are also focusing or targeting the market to increase their particular sale. So this kind of opportunity may enhance a very type of activities. For example, during lockdown, we have faced so many type of problem. But the thing is that there are some e-commerce side or there are some food delivery side. They can enhance their or they can explore their or excel their opportunity in such a way that they will maximize their profit or you can say that is revenue generation. Moving to the next part. The next part, the purpose of strategic control, are our threat is still existing, and the next is, are there any new threats? So if you find any kind of threat, that threat can be directly communicated with the top management. That is the concept of control operation strategy. The next is, are the decisions being made consistent with the policies and are there sufficient resources to achieve the objectives? The next question is, are event in the environment occurring in anticipated? Are goals and target being made? And should we process with the plan as we have formulated? The last question is, are the organizational vision, mission, and objectives appropriate to the changing environment factors? So there are so many factors can be considered in case of your operational strategy control. Starting from, if you think about or if you take the example of any industry, for example, in case of a manufacturing industry, starting from the store, then store to purchase, then purchase to your operation department, then operation to quality control, then quality control to packaging, then packaging to your dispatch or by the help of outbound logistics. That should be very much in a you can say it is formulated way as far as concerned with your operational strategy control, that they are directly lead towards the common goal of your organization, that is known as profit generation. So that is the basic reason where we can implement the operational strategy control. Moving to the next part, the next one is process strategy control. So in case of strategy control process consists of 6 steps. So basically, top management will decide or provide the decision, or initially must decide what element of environment and the organization need to be monitored and evaluated and controlled. So in case of process operation control, the first one is key area to be monitored. We have discussed this part. I just read only one point. The first part is macro environment. As stated earlier on the key areas to be monitored in case of macro environment of companies. Basically, in case of macro environment, the external environment forces must be continuously monitored as the change in case of environment or which directly influence the strategy implementation process of a particular company. So what are the external environment factors? If I ask the questions, what are the external environmental factors which directly affect the strategy formulation for a company? Anyone? We can tell some factors which directly influence productivity. Forget about strategy. Any external factors.
Raw material price,
Raw material price. Okay. I just know right here. Raw material price.
transportation,
Anything? Transportation. Okay. Chinu Naik, any external factor that influence organization? Sangram Sahu, can you
dispute
tell some
between
external factors?
dispute between labors,
Which
dispute
one?
between workers,
Okay. Next. Abhishek, tell some factors which directly affect organization, especially reference to external factors. Yes, any other?
Sir, warehousing, political factors.
Warehousing. Okay. Next. Somisha, Alexa,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You can tell some factors that affect organization, external factors.
Sure. Sir, can you repeat the question? Actually, I have network issue, so voice is breaking.
Okay. Tell some factors that affect organizations, especially refers to external factor. Name some external factor which directly affect organization.
Uh, I don't know, sir.
You don't know, you are in the specialization. You don't know.
Actually, सर याद है पर अभी याद नहीं आ रहा सर.
Okay. So first factor is your that is known as your that is political factors. Yes or no? Then economic factors. Then location factors. The next part is your the next part is your raw material, utility factors, and next part is customer demand. So these factors can directly influence your organization. So whenever you implement strategy, or you can say it is operation strategy, process for controlling these activities, especially refers to external activities. So that is why you can say, if you go to last point, the external factor or external forces must be continuously monitored. A change in the environment influence the strategy implementation process. So starting from your politicals, then government rule and regulation, then economics, then location, then transportation, then utility facilities, and customer demand can directly influence, but these forces can influence whenever you implemented the strategy process for a particular company. Moving to the next part is strategy monitoring and controlling or controls. This is modifying one and more area like company's mission and objectives and goals, and strategy formulation and strategy implementations. I repeat, so this strategy monitoring and control is modify one of the core area of company, such as mission of the companies, objective of company, goal of the company, and strategy formulation and strategy implementations. The next part is industry environment. The strategists also monitor the control the industry related environment. So what are the industry related environment? What are the key points are included in case of industry related environment? Anyone? Yes. What are the, I just repeat, what are the industry related environment? Anyone? Hello?
Sir, supplier, buyer, competitors.
Okay, first one is competitor, then suppliers, then different type of intermediate like supplier, vendor, distributors. Okay, and next is your transportation facilities. The next part is your logistic facilities. The next part is your utility facilities. These you can say that is these factors are directly influence the external factors as far as or external or industry related environments. So these environmental forces may not be as they were planned. The changes in environment may provide new opportunity or pose new threat also. So these are the things. Is it visible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving to the next part. The next, just a minute. Next key area to be monitored in case of step one, that is internal operations. So in case of internal operations, the strategy has to be evaluate the internal operation continuously in view of changes of macro environment and industry environment. So that is why whenever a demand is provided, or as far as concerned with customer point of view, the demand is always uncertain from customer perspective. So that is why they must go for internal or evaluate the internal operation continuously, whether it should be the availability of manpower, machines and tools, and the raw material qualities. So these are also changes according to the macro environment or in case of your industrial environments. So, for example, if you take in case of some industrial belt, for example, in case of Manchester industrial state, or in case of Chandaka industrial state, or whether should be your Khordha industrial state. So, why these are called industrial state? The thing is that they are very much take the opportunity of industry environment, such as they are coordinating with different similar or you can say that is equivalent type of companies, which is directly or indirectly associated. They also explore the transportation facilities. They also explore the utility facility provided by Government of Odisha. And the next part is that it is easy to fulfill the, or you can say that is maintain a balance between demand and supply whenever it is peak side, or whenever the demand is on constant size. The next is the strategist has to introduce change in internal option when the change in the environmental affect the strategy. So starting from the your transportations, political, economics, the next part is your raw material, then supplier, the vendor, then customer point of view. So these factors, as I told, that these are directly affect, or you could say that it is directly or indirectly affect your internal operation of organization. That is why, so whenever you formulated this particular strategy, or whenever you go for implementing this type of strategy, you must be aware of different factors such as your micro environment as well as your industrial environment. Moving to the next part, whenever you go for evaluating an organization performance, it is normally based on certain standards. So those days when industry or some expert are came and go for auditing and go for organizational performance. But nowadays, in from organizational point of view, in each financial year, a government authority is assigned to go for to audit the organizational performance in different parameters. There are some ISO standard are also introduced, or some quality standard are also introduced for evaluating the organizational performance. Basically, in case of this ISO and quality standard, maybe previous year achievement or the competitors record or the fresh standard established by the management. Basically, these standard or this fresh standard or previous year achievement, it should be established by in most cases by the top level of management. The next part is that is your qualitative judgment, like qualitative features of the product service in the last year may be used under the evaluation of organization performance. Next part, in case of quantitative measures like return on investment, return on sales, may be used for judging the performance of organizations. Moving to the next slide. So how we judge these particular organizations? Basically, this standard may include quality of product or services. The next is quantity of product to be produced. The next is quality of management. Then innovativeness or creativity, the long-term investment values, volume of sales or market share. The next is financial soundness, community and environment responsibilities, production target, soundness of human resource management. The next one is use of company asset, and the last one is marketplace performance. So these are the basic parameters which are included whenever you go for implementing or some ISO standard as well as quality standard, especially reference to evaluation of your organization performance. Then moving to the next part, just a minute. Step number 3, that is measuring performance. So how to measure the performance of a particular organization after you implementing a certain type of strategies. The strategist has to measure the performance of various area of organization before taking the actions. That means they are directly involved in case of organization internal environment as well as with the external environment also. The strategy audit and strategy audit measurement method are useful to measure the organizational performance. So in that case, that I have some parameters. Or basically nowadays, in case of auditing of organization point of view, they provide star ratings, whether it should be outstanding, excellent, good, average, or bad. So according to that way, they will go for the organization performance if they go for summarization of this particular audit based upon the star rating of the organization performance. Then moving to the next part. In case of this strategic audit, it basically go for you can say it is strategic audit is an execution and evaluation of organization operation affected by the strategy implementations. So just forget about, so it may also be narrow focus in small areas, small, you can say it is sub-department level also, and emphasize on a single part of process such as environment process. And the next part is the strategy audit may be quite formal adhering to the organization rule and procedures. Point number three, the strategy audit must work integrated related function and the strategy audit are carried out by cross-functional team of managers. That means there is no particular barrier between department and internal department, or we can say it is there is no particular you can say that is they don't have any kind of barrier in between department, inter-department, and as well as sub-department also. So whenever you implement a strategy planning, it should be in a such a way that that cross functional team of managers can be directly contact with the auditors. The next is strategy audit measurement may be broadly divided into two types. That is, one is qualitative method and the quantitative methods. Moving to the next part. So what is the basic objective of audit? Anyone? Because as I told so many times that this is a particular theory paper. I will try to provide some case studies, but it is difficult to put case study in this particular topics as far as concerned with your. So what do you mean by audit? Anyone? What is the simple definition of audit?
So financial statement.
Financial statement. Okay. Abhishek. What is the need of audit? Chinu Naik. Basic need of audit.
Sir, audit.
Yes. What is the basic need of Sumisha? Yes. So basically, audit is done for what, as Sangram told, that is check whether the company is financially stable or not stable. That means that reflect the organization performance. That is the simple definitions. Is it clear? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. In case of qualitative method or quantitative method, especially reference to qualitative methods, which kind, what are the method is implemented in case of qualitative methods? Anyone?
Sir, what is the question?
My question is, in case of strategy audit, especially reference to qualitative method, what are the different type of method are adopt for strategy audit in case of organizations? ऑडिटर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे पहुंचा, क्वालिटेटिव ऑडिट करना चाहता है, तो कौन सा टूल यूज करेगा? Hello. No one. So in case of demand forecasting, especially reference to qualitative method, which method we are adopt? So what are the different type of method are under the qualitative method of demand forecast? Actually, I am very sad to express that you are just taking the opportunities of online. Just join the classes. Okay, no response from your side. Hello, everyone. That is market survey, historical analogy, and the next one is Delphi methods. So whenever they directly implemented strategy audit, same method should be applied. In case of Delphi method, a particular expert panel is there, and they are providing different type of questionnaire. So whether the company is financially stable, whether the equipments are maintained properly, and these questions are accessed to cross-functional manager. In case of cross-functional manager, for example, finance manager to production manager, then production manager to your store manager, then store manager to your warehouse managers. So these are the cross-functional team for manager in case of strategic audit. Similarly, in case of quantitative method, all the data, whether should be financial data, whether should be store related data, or whether should be warehouse related data, there should be form in the form of digit and numbers. So basically, in case of qualitative methods, face-to-face interview are done by the auditors. They can ask any level of management, whether should be top level of management, whether should be bottom level of management, or whether should be your middle level of management. That is the concept of if you go for operation strategy audit, especially reference to organizations. Okay, the next is in case of next one, that is step number 4, that after auditing, the step number 4, that is compare the performance with standards. So as you know, most of the organizations are implementing ISO standards or quality standard. Once the performance of different aspect of organization is measured, it should be compared with the predetermined standard. In case of ISO standard, they have already predefined objectives, especially reference to your organizations. For example, in case of your milk dairies, they are basically use ISO 22000. So that ISO 22000 belong to food and safety of food and that is applicable for food and safety of you can say it is beverage or any kind of food related items. So in that ISO 22000, the authority has mentioned the predefined or predetermined objectives. So according to that objectives, you just compare with your organization performance, whether it should be meet the ISO criteria or whether it should meet the quality implement standards. After that, the standards are set to achieve an already formulated organization goal and strategy. The next part is organization standard are yardsticks and benchmark that place organization performance in perspectives. These strategies should state standard for all performance area of the organization based on the organization goal and strategy. And finally, the standard vary from one company to other companies. So after your audit finish, that team is directly go to another one, and they will provide the example with reference to your organizations. So whenever any kind of audit is taking place, that means they are directly involving every aspect of organizations. They directly face-to-face interview with the worker levels also regarding the wages. The next part is the duration of work, whether they conduct extra shift, and therefore that extra shift they will provide the wages. And these things are also implemented. So as you know, just forget about these particular topics. Clear. So whenever you involve in a SIP project related to your present semesters, clear. if the company is assign you in a particular location, for example, in case of Gujarat Patia locations, and they are directly assign you to collect the various data through the different qualitative methods. And from whatever data you collect, whether it should be age factor, whether it should be number of product sales, or whether it should be the number of item or number of appearance of male and female, that data should be reflected in their, you can say it is in their, for first example is in their financial statements, and including the total day of total hour of workings, total number of segments are there. That should be directly reflected in auditor whenever the auditor is came inside the organization. The same thing happen in case of if they implementing strategy and whether the strategy is in the right direction or not. That is why most of the company are doing operation strategy control auditing. And before auditing, they also match or compare with the predetermined standards, whether it should be ISO or whether it should be quality standards. Moving to the next part, if you go to the just a minute. Okay. In case of compare the performance with standard, the first standard is profitability standard, the second is market position standard, the next is productivity standard, and the last one is product leadership standard. So in case of profitability standard, these standard include how much gross profit, net profit, return on investment, earning per share, percentage of profit to the sales the company should earn in a given time period. So basically, this standard should be measured for a one financial year. The next is your market position standard. This standard includes total sales and sales region wise, product wise, market share, marketing cost, customer service, customer satisfactions, price, customer loyalty shifts from other organization product. So this is known as market position standard. What do you mean by customer loyalty? Anyone?
If a customer purchase same brand's product repeatedly, then that is called customer loyalty.
Any example, Sangram?
Sir,
What do you
customer
mean by
should
customer
be,
loyalty?
sir,
Customer
customer
loyalty means
loyalty.
what? Yes.
Customer loyalty means if a customer is happy with one service and the service is providing some extra value to the customer, say those, so they add some loyalty fee to the customer so that they can get benefits like extra, like in case of product services, some of the basic discounts, or in service cases some of the basic discounts, and anything that a regular customer get from that service.
Okay. Then moving to the next part. So in case of productivity standard, these standard indicate the performance of organization in terms of conversion of input into output. These standard include capital productivities, labor productivities, and material productivity. So as you know, in case of production standard, they basically use conversion process. That means inputs are converted into outputs. And I repeat, in this standard, the capital productivity, labor productivity, and material productivity are included. The next one is your leadership standard. This standard includes innovations, modification of product to increase the new use of existing product, and developing new product with the new uses, etc. So this is known as product leadership standards. So can you give an example of product leadership standard in recent cases? Anyone?
Please
Yes.
repeat the question.
Can you provide any product leadership standard? For example, that is known as increase new users of existing product, developing new product, or with new uses. Yes. Can you provide some recent examples? No idea.
No, sir.
What is this?
थोड़ा hint दीजिए.
What is this? Is this an innovative idea or not?
Yes, sir.
Especially
Oh,
reference
yes.
to the sanitizer industry and marks industry. Yes or no? Initially, the World Health Organization provides N90 masks are authorized for wearing for the containment areas. Clear. Then a few days back, after 2 or 3 months, again the WHO also announced that N90 masks are not used. So that
It's
means
a harmful for the
most of
body.
the industry are directly go for making cotton masks. So that's why I'm showing you this particular example. The next innovative or next new product idea for most uses by the customer, that is sanitizer industries. As you know, in case of your ITC, your Dabur, even Patanjali, even more of the customers cosmetic company, they are diversify their innovative or creativity towards making different fragrance of sanitizers. Yes or no? So these are
Yes,
the
sir.
recent cases, especially reference to your leadership, or that is known as product leadership standards. Is it clear? Moving to the next part, this is the last steps. Step number 5. If the performance of various organizations are matched with the standard, the strategist need not to take any action. He should just allow the process to continue. However, he can try to improve the performance above the standard if it would be possible without having any negative impact on the existing process. So this means step number 5, take no action if the performance is in harmony with the standards. So if your performance is matched with the standard, there is no need to take any kind of actions. Clear? And the last step is that is known as take corrective action if necessary. That means strategies should take necessary corrective action if performance is not in harmony with the standard. So if you are not cope with the particular standard, that means you take some corrective actions to implement this strategy in a right direction. So these the strategies compare the performance with standard. If they find any deviation between the standard and the performance, they should take corrective action to bridge the gap between the standard and performance. Clear? So these are the key factor basically includes in case of your uh, it is known as operation strategy and control. The next is this is the last one. How to make strategy control creative. So point number 1 is use strategy control team drawn together from various part of organizations. And composition of strategy control team should be changed regularly to assure fresh idea to and avoid the stagnation. The next part is top management must involve in the interpretation of key success factors and how they are monitored. Point number 3, strategy control must focus on bottleneck in the critical success factor on change in the success of factors. So that means every part. What do you mean by bottleneck? That means if you take the example of any bottles, that the product should be passed whenever the product should be ready, that should be passed through the bottle of that neck of that particular bottle. From that concept, the most of the industry are adopt this concept of bottleneck. That means every process or every product should be passed through the bottleneck. So most of the company are placed your quality control department in the bottle, or you can say the neck part of your organization. That is the most focus area. So where you can eliminate or you can reduce the chances of error. That is the concept. So whenever you reduce the chances of error, it leads towards the critical success factor on the change of successful factors. The next is flexibility must be obtained within the strategy control process so that the budget, format, agenda of companies and other organization procedures can meet the demand of particular control context. So that is why you must adopt the flexibility in case of your human resource, flexibilities in case of your productivity, flexibility in case of your quality control, and flexibility in case of logistics, flexibility in case of dispatching, flexibility in case of cells. That should be very much often whenever you implemented the operation control process. So that's all from my side. Any doubt you can ask.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the lately joined, clear.
It's okay, sir.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
meet. Okay, we'll meet those who are in Bhubaneswar. Just a minute, just a minute. I will just. Yes.